Alright. We've posted in many places. I've readjusted the painting area. I needed it to be less covered in stuff. But yeah. We gotta get these breachers painted, which means I have to remember what colors we used. Because it's been a while. I think I remember kind of. But we'll see. Pay attention as well. The camera might cut out because I need to get a new cable for it. The cable we had originally purchased for this camera here, this one, it's very rigid, and the actual connector for the HDMI is a little long. So it sits kind of outside of the connector. It doesn't go flush with it, and it kind of rocks up and down a little bit. These were ones we wanted to work on, if you remember. But then, you know, AOS. We actually bought colors we think will work with them. I think this was Golden Goddess. I think we used Ball Red for the tank. And then we used Cultist or Occultist Cloak or something. So I gotta regather all the paints that we used, because I don't know where they all are. Probably should have did this before we went live. Ancient Honey, definitely, was the yellow. Oh, I think I found it. Goddess Glow, which was a really cool bronzish color. It's definitely supposed to be for like a darker skin toned like character, but we kind of use it for other things. Occultist Cloak, because it is a slightly blue dark color. This is the one I don't know if we're gonna find right away. We also need Ball Red, if I can come across that. That would be sweet. We might do a different color for the leader. Like everyone's framed yellow, we might do like a blue or something for the leader. That way he kind of stands out a little bit. I genuinely don't know where we put Occultist Cloak. This is why I need like a rack, like a paint rack instead of the thing that I'm using right now. Okay, I genuinely don't know where it is. Well, the Nightmare and Nightmare should be the next up, right? Termination's afterwards. It always takes a couple months, which is annoying for a lot of people. And I imagine the ones out there who play IG with a passion are going to be super annoyed by the fact that the Aquila are going to be like, you have to buy this combo box for a while kind of situation. Come on, where are you, Occultist Cloak? We got to do that one first. Because if I mess up with it, I need to do the corrective white. Found Grim Black, which is kind of funny. Wait, is it you? No, it's Gravelord. So there's a good chance my occultist cloak is What up, Shammy? What up, everyone? What's up, Spruget? Well, that's the thing. You can't. It sucks when you try to apply, you know, like norms, constants, and logic to GW, because I think the more we see how they like operate, the more it does feel like they're kind of skin of their teeth type of situation. Like they're holding on for dear life. Like I wish I could see kind of the conversations that go on between like them and distributors and stuff, because you know there's something bad going on there. When they released their holiday pre-order pamphlet, like the PDF they sent out, and that pamphlet had the Kill Team stuff that wasn't even up for pre-order, let alone announced properly. You know they put that pamphlet together under the assumption that it was going to be announced, because someone in the group was like, yeah, that's what's going to happen. We're going to announce it. So be ready for it. And then it just didn't get announced. And rather than be like, oh, we should probably fix this, they were just like, we don't have time. Just throw it out there. Let the people know. Found it. It was hidden. Now I need ball red. And later on, we'll figure out what we're doing with the base. I don't want to figure it out now. Too lazy. Too lazy. That's Mephiston. Mephiston. Okay, so I know I have ball red. Why is ball red the one that's hard to find? It's just so bright. That's Spirit Stone. This is Doomfire. What are you? Magmadroth. What's this? Is this ball red? Evil Sons. I'm about to just use Slaughter Red. Got it. Ball red. We're in the gold. Well, they needed to... That's the thing. They need to reuse stuff. They have to. They can't get around it. Because they're just going to have tons of stuff sitting on shelves. So they needed a lot more cross interaction. So kill teams, especially with Imperial agents, kill teams were just going to be the thing. Since I feel like they've done most of their Imperial agent squads as kill teams for the most part. I mean, dude, Imperial Agents feels so weird. I like the idea, but at the same time, the release. All right, most of these brushes are frayed at this point. How are you? Yeah. I'm probably going to throw most of these brushes that aren't like cleaning brushes. Good thing I have a whole new bag. Thank you, $5 disposable brushes that last 7 months. Okay, we have to move away from the lore is this, so this should happen type situation. Like we gotta kind of wander away from that. It's a big thing. Like if you think about it in business terms, you get things like Deathwatch isn't that like the thing that makes Deathwatch kind of redeemable is that people just play it. They haven't explicitly said anything about Compendium. They said teams going forward are going to have free rules and they're going to update them all with online rules as well as the ability to buy cards. But they never explicitly say if there's teams being left out, which teams, none of it. So just keep that in check if you're sitting there with your Death Guard being like, I can't wait to play 3rd edition Death Guard. And they're like, man, these work really well as Legionary. You should just play them as Legionary. And you're like, oh, no. Oh. Wait, is this? Yeah, this is a Cultist Cloak. I opened my paint cleaning cup, and now it smells a little over here, so I might need to dump this out. There, at the very least, the Compendium teams that don't have equivalents or something semi-related, right? Like, it would be kind of weird to lose the Tau one just because there's stealth suits in it, even though there is a Pathfinder squad. It's still like, the stealth suits kind of make that team very unique. Sorry about the water running. It just smelled so bad, I had to get rid of my paint cup. Yeah, like the Imperial Guard one probably can go. Stuff like that. Specifically because since the rules are going free, if you already have an Imperial Guard team, you can probably use a good chunk of them as a... Let me just double check something here. How did I do this? Okay, I went all over. Okay. You can probably use a good chunk of them as like other things for the most part. Like you can use them as specialists in the Vet Guard army. It seems to be the way to go for a lot of people is to build a generalist squad, a squad that has like sort of like general iterations of possible things. Like this will be an icon bearer if there's an icon bearer. Stuff like that. Yeah, I'm going to need to do some correctives. There was no way I was getting around doing correctives on this. And then just playing Kill Team with it and being like, this is the Blooded. You can clearly tell who's who. Like, you may need to build some very explicitly special units if you're going to go that route. Thousand Suns, Harlequins, and Wormblade should all get updates, because technically those are all bespoke. They should. I mean, granted, they didn't really verify anything. Wording is always specific. If you're paying attention to what companies are saying, you're listening to what they're not saying specifically. Like, they didn't detail which teams are getting it. They just said teams are getting an update. So that could mean, you know, all teams. That could mean some teams. That could mean, like, your team. Could also mean that your team's getting no updates. Like, it's all very awkward. How did I do the ruffles? I probably should redo the ruffles, yellow, because there's like a connection point here that ruffles up. And if I do them yellow, I think it'll work better. I mean, if you're looking for good rules, you're just playing, like, what, Space Marines at that point? Like, if you're looking for good rolls and things, when you see the rules for those plasma guns hitting on 5s, you need to look into what you can do to make them hit harder and better. Like, that's all you're doing. You need to see that. That's why kind of Games Workshop does that, is because there's a potential for there being a combo that'll make it hit on 3s or 4s, probably. 4s, I feel like they're trying to make 4s kind of the norm for, like, generalist teams that have a lot of units. And then 3s is reserved for elite teams. I am painting Navy Breachers. These are my buddies. I'm trying to get through all the squads that we have access to be painted. That way I can try to get some videos in. Now that 3.0 is announced, I'm kind of a little like, huh, maybe I hold off, right? I need to do the AOS rules video, so that's good. So we can go over the new AOS rules, get an in-depth look at how they're supposed to work, things you need to think about when you're playing, that kind of stuff. Did I do black interior for his cloak? I think I did, yeah. Yeah, like if you've got something that's meant to do work, like a sniper, and it's limited, yeah, 2 would probably work out for it. Because unless you're like rocking 30 snipers, it doesn't feel that big of a deal. But snipers do need to feel impactful in 40k. They do. And they really do. The ones I've come across, they feel super, just like, you feel like you've been screwed over when you get shot at by them. Let me take a look at something here. I think the gloves need to be occultist, which means I might need to do some correctives on this guy. But yeah, you need to feel like you're getting screwed over when you get shot at by a sniper. Because they're limited in number, and they require very much a good angle on you. And if you can avoid it, then, I mean, they've literally paid points to waste a unit, so. And in the way the game is currently designed, it is very hard for a sniper to see stuff. You really got to find the right moment. about to sneeze. Jesus Christ. But yeah, like I use Sanctus, the Sanctus snipers on Genestealer Cult. And they feel impactful as hell. When they're able to pull off their attacks, oh my god, they feel so good. No, it's all rumors for Emperor's Children, which is why I got my donation stuff up for it, because I'm expecting, like a lot of people, that it will drop at some point here. We're closer to the holiday, hopefully, where they're like, hey, man. Get your Emperor's Children Battle Box pre-orders in. And I'll be like, I'll take 5. I don't need a life. All I gotta do is sit and paint. Oh, you getting Vespids? What color are you going? I'm thinking of doing... I think I'm gonna do kind of what I've done with my Scouts and my Votann, where I'm gonna underglow them, and then I'm gonna make them kind of a reverse color. I'm thinking I'm gonna underglow them like an orange or a yellow. And then I'm gonna do their actual carapace in blue. Because I think that'll be cool. And then I gotta pick their gun color. I might, I mean, my Votann have the teal gun colors. I don't know if I want to do teal for my Vespids. I love teal guns. Like, the armor on a gun being teal just looks so cool. I don't know what it is. It just looks really good. How did I handle the belt buckle? Oh, I just went all black for the belt buckle. No, yeah, the Vespid look cool, and the hints that they gave as to how they play sound really interesting. I think they made them that way because of how co-op is supposed to work, because I think whatever mechanic manages the opposition side in co-op is going to manage the Vespid when you don't have the communal helmet on. Like, it seems like you really want to make sure that leader stays alive until the end of the game. Because it does feel like the game's gonna not go your way if he's dead. Just because your opponent's... You're gonna be, like, stuck kind of doing BS stuff. We'll see how it plays out. I imagine a lot of teams are gonna figure out how to, like, bum rush that unit and kill it. And it's probably going to cause some shifts in balance. They're going to drop a data slate to be like, all right, communal points are just passive. You guys solved the puzzle. Congratulations, we had to buff the Vespid. I feel like a lot of Harlequin players are going to move to Vespid. Because the main reason I feel like they played Harlequin was because of Fly. You can abuse that rule so hard in Kill Team that it's actually annoying. And I feel like them taking Fly away was like this huge move of like, we need Fly to not be a thing anymore. And now we're getting Vespids. And they're like, yeah, they fly. It's like, what are you going to do? I'm wondering if the 3.0 rules are like, okay, this is how Fly works. You can go over units, and it costs 2 inches to go up a building regardless of height. And it's like, okay, good. They did the Harlequin rules in general for Fly. Okay. Because I feel like that'll be better than just being like, yeah, they can go wherever the hell they want and do whatever the hell they want. And then on top of that, I'm interested in the Aquilon. Specifically because how is that deep strike going to work in close quarters? They need, dude, the Harlequin rule in Kill Team needs to be the fly rule in 40K. It needs to be. Basically, if you're going up something, you measure along a path, and then if there's a wall that you have to go up, you -2 to get to the top of it. That's all it is. It's the easy. You don't have to Pythagorean. You don't have to do any of that crap. You just measure to the thing and be like, all right, that's 4 inches. Oh, crap. Oh, no. Okay, we're good. Yeah, you measure to the thing and you're like, all right, it's 4 inches. And then you're at it and you're like, okay, so I'm going to subtract 2. So now we're at 6 and I'm up top. And then you continue. And then from the other side, you don't measure to go down. You just measure out. And you're like, there we go. It would be so much smoother of a system. But yeah, people play Harlequins, dude. In, what was it? The Las Vegas tournament, Harlequins took like position 5 out of like hundreds of players. Is this a hat? Or is that his head? I think that's his head. Is that hair? I don't know what I'm looking at. I think it's a hairline. I'm going to assume that's a hairline. So people do play Harlequins because strategically they're an incredible team, or at least they were because of Fly. Because the game really went like, yo, Fly is the best thing ever, you want it. And a good strategic player with Harlequins could easily outscore most enemy teams without issue. Because they could put themselves in a situation where the enemy team couldn't do anything to them. And you would do sort of like a wash, rinse, repeat moment where you would get enough Harlequin points to switch it up so that you can do the auto crits, and then you just auto crit things to death. Because their crit damage is some of the highest damage in the game. If you can forcibly auto crit with one of those kisses, the weapons they use, it does like 7 damage. So much. I still think they're a pretty good team. They've definitely been reined in a little bit. And we'll see if Fly gets reined in even more. Because I'm still not sure personally. It might be fine or it might get reined in. This is the leader. So I kind of want to make him blue on his outer border, I think. Instead of yellow. Make him stand out a bit. Since we're doing kind of like a fireman thing, I want to make it look like the head of the team has like a different visual aesthetic so people know who he is. We need a tiered team. If they don't bring Compendium up, there's no tiered team. Like, that's the biggest issue in my brain, is that the tiered team's just gone. It's that fact is like the one thing making me lean towards, yeah, they have to bring Compendium up, right? It has to happen. They can't just avoid it and be like, nah, bruh. We just want bespokes. It's like, cool, where's the Tyranid bespoke? You didn't even launch with a Tyranid bespoke. So some of the key things I imagine they're gonna move. Is probably definitely on the cards they're gonna release. There's just gonna be measurements at this point. I mean, they're moving away from symbols. They've abandoned that idea. Too many pedantic nerds screaming at the top of their lungs that they hate it. Not fully understanding that there are European countries who work entirely in metric and that this is an easier approach for new players to understand how the game works. But hey. Not only that, but it was a way to get people who see inches and then assume half inches work. It got them to like stop that. That was like also a key element, was getting people to realize you have to move in full increments. If you're going to move around a corner at a half an inch, you've lost a full inch. Dude, I think the Tyranid team should involve like a Biovore or something. Or even if it doesn't involve a Biovore, Spore Mines being like a passive, right? Like it would be an invasion kill team. The whole point of it would be to go to an area and it's like to try to like take the area over with as little interactive force as possible so that they can consume everything. I think maybe Spore Mines is like their support, right? Like that's what comes in from the sky. Based on what they're seeing, they'll bring it in. No, yeah, they'll definitely get rid of the pre-bespoke teams, which is explicitly Harlequins and Warp Coven, because the Wormblade technically aren't explicitly bespoke, changed from the Compendium. They let the Compendium exist alongside that team. I think AdMech as well. AdMech was the other one that had the Compendium team replaced. So it'll be 3 teams that don't come back as Compendium updates, and then it'll be hopefully everyone else. Because even among like Sisters, like if you're a Sisters player, I still think that the Compendium Sisters team is not the worst. It's not bad, and if you're really into like playing Sisters, like not the nuns that are just like, we have no armor on for faith, and then they run in like idiots. Like if you want to play real Sisters, like proper Sisters, that's the way to go, honestly. Yeah, I've been trying to figure out what they're going to do for a NID kill team, because the way kill team's going, the team is supposed to be a coherent squad that's usable. So what ends up happening is we might actually get something for Tyranids like how the Scorpions work, right? Where they give you a box of the rework stuff. Maybe it's just Von Ryans or something. Like you just get a box of Von Ryans. Maybe there's like an upgrade sprue component to it. And then maybe they do a Lictor. Nah, I don't know if the Lictor works out that way. See in the mail. Novitiates. Oh, nice. Thoughts on super bright colors? Are you going to paint them all... Okay. Are you going to paint them all uniform, or are you going to try to give them... Are you going to try to give them an element of like a Sailor Moon, where each one will have like a different color scheme almost? There's not enough colors for that team size. I mean, you can kind of get away with being like light blue, dark blue, or something maybe, but the thing is, they'll probably have Gene Stealers to pick from. I think they're going to give you like Von Ryan's Leapers and then be like, look, you can also get Gonson Gene Stealers, but you're going to start with the Von Ryan's Leapers and we're giving you like a Lictor or something. And then that's your kill team. And you can use, they'll probably be like, you use the full Von Ryan Leaper squad. It'll probably be statted in a way where they're kind of scary in melee, but not really. It's mostly around the Lictor being on the field as a threat. Or you can be like, all right, for every 2 Von Ryans, you can get a Gene Stealer. And the Gene Stealer actually has like good stats for melee. Or you can just replace them all with Gaunts and get like some fun gun Gaunts or something to be like, oh, I want to go more ranged for a little bit. Like if they do that, that's probably fine. I mean, I don't normally like that system of just being like, hey, we're giving you 1 box, you need to buy the other 2. That always feels weird. That felt weird when they made you do it for Hyrotech. That felt weird when I saw it for the Eldar team. Blade? Hand of the Archon? No, Hand of the Archon's Dark Eldar. Blades of Cain. And for them to do it again for Tyranids would be like, ugh. I always love these bomb suit dudes. There's always a confidence in their character models. Okay, so something cool. So what's your plan on how to paint them? Because my friend, we were talking a while because he wanted to kind of paint his Sisters of Battle. He plays the team as one of his teams that he owns, and he was like, oh, I kind of want to figure out their paint scheme. I think he went something different than what we were talking about, but we both kind of came to this conclusion that if you plan on doing like white as one of your core colors, how are you going to do it? How are you going to shade it? And I've always been of the mindset where white is best shaded in color as opposed to just like a gray tone, right? And in my opinion, if you're going to do like a cool white character or a cool white color across all of your sisters, see if I can find it. You might want a really light colored shader, or Army Painter actually put out in its speed paint line a type of color that I really greatly enjoy because it's so fun to use on pure white. You might need to go back in to like, you know, re-brighten up some areas of white, but when you start, you can do something like, if you want like a slightly mid-blue, Battleship Gray, because the peak is pretty white, right? Pastel Seafoam is a little bit teal in the shadows, but the peak would be pretty white, right? There's also a purple one called Coral that I think is really good. Why do you want to get rid of your Nurgle kill team? Because you can use them as technically you can use them as Legionary, and you can use them as the Night Lord one. Because they have the same base sizes, and a lot of their models are actually the same as the elites in those teams. You could technically just use them as other. If you own a Death Guard kill team, you own 3 kill teams right now. No problem. Because it's all 32mm bases. You can just use the Legionary rules and just be like, oh, they're all Nurgle, you know, if you want. Or it doesn't really matter. Honestly, you could be like, yeah, these guys have Undivided because it's a better option for me. Stuff like that. Grey Knights are rough as an elite team right now. They're in such a hard place. They're like the Talons, right? You want them to feel like what they're supposed to feel like, but how do they fit in Kill Team? Because they barely do. When they put the Talons out originally, they tried to make the Talons rules as like lore efficient as you would imagine, right? They have 4 characters, so they need more action points. They would definitely have more action points because of how elite they are. Stuff like that. And the assumption was because there's only 4 of them, it's not that bad. But when the game first dropped and everyone was playing Compendium teams, Talon players who played for Custodes were just winning all the time because they were way too good. They could get stuff done. They were so hard to kill. If you knew what you were doing, you could easily get around your opponent's plans and just destroy their ability to kill you. It was so horrible for like new players and even like veteran players to play into Custodes. So when they got nerfed, it was like sweet, but at the same time that nerf was hard for them. That nerf made them like not good. They're getting updates. Best case scenario, they get rebalanced to fit. That's the best case scenario, is that they get adjustments that make them feel way better as teams, right? Best case. Most likely, they're just going to put out cards for the teams that didn't get bespoke versions, and those cards are just going to be like 6-inch movement, 4-inch movement, and you know they give you a thumbs up. And you're like, all right, cool, I guess. And everything else is the same. Worst case scenario, they just go, what compendium? What are you talking about? Compendium? What's this compendium you speak of? And you're just like, oh. Oh, the Volgar kill team. The Gellerpox. Gellerpox are cool, but I would say that they are very explicit as like how they work. And if you don't like that play style, yeah. There's a player that goes by Orion who really knows how to play them. And like he dominated tournaments with them. And they kept getting nerfed because they were way too strong. Now the Chaos Cults are kind of in that same spot. Eyes are always tricky. It always depends on how you... Like, dude, my cop-out for physical eyes on characters is and always will be paint them to glow. Just be like, yeah, they're glowing. There's a demon inside of them. Obviously, their eyes are going to glow. So you just dip white into the eye socket and then apply fluorescent paint to the white to make it look like it glows. And that's it. You're done. You solved the riddle with minimal effort. Maximum efficiency. But then there's people who are like, nah, bro, I gotta paint the pupil. And you're like, oh, good luck. Do you got like a head magnifying glass and maybe some like dental tools or something? Maybe that'll help. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Whenever I get Space Marine helmets to paint as like as trophy rack type stuff, I always like pull up the list of chapters and like sub chapters and stuff, and I just try to find one that looks weird. Cause like I get painting them a standard, because then you'll definitely run into a player of that team and be like, haha, I have your helmet, and they're like, you asshole. But for me, it's I want to be there, and then they look at the helmet and they're like, wait, is that actually a chapter? Like, is that just like a custom? It's like, no, that's actually a chapter. It's little known. No one really fights them. No one really plays them. There's not a lot of lore around them, but they exist. They're a sub chapter of the salamanders. No one really pays attention to them. It's like, oh, okay. Like if I wanted to piss off local players with my Thousand Suns, I would have painted all the trophy rack helmets to look like Space Wolves, and yeah. Like I painted a white and baby blue helmet on one of them because I saw it in passing on the wiki. I was like, that kind of looks cool, so I just did it. I don't even remember what chapter it was. But it made me think of all the chapter colors where their chapter color looks like an apothecary color. And it makes me always wonder, like, do they not know who the apothecary is on that army? Like during the fight, are they just like, oh god, which one of us is the healer? You're getting Vespid stealth suits, man. Stealth Vespids. I wonder how that's going to work on the tabletop, because you know this Vespid team is supposed to be used in 40k as Vespids. So my question is, if you do the stealth suit Vespid, does that actually do anything? Or is it just going to be like cosmetic? Oh, I remember this. We're going to try something with this. I still want to do the brassing, but the shield is actually, I think, going to have the black interior. It's also done in 3 strips of metal, so I might do black on the outside, the yellow strip down the middle, and then brassing everywhere else. Because I like my paint jobs to not be easy. Phone call. I don't play Blood Angels, so my friend plays Blood Angels, but he already owns like everything he needs. This is kind of the thing about like these box sets and stuff that people don't really recognize, is that a lot of people already own all of it. So like when the box set comes out and it's just like, so you get the new unit and it's like, all right, that's cool. And then you get a bunch of units that already existed that maybe had some upgrades visually, and it's like, I don't need them. So I'll just buy the new unit separate. And yeah. So these are mostly just jumping off points for people who genuinely have never played Blood Angels, who are now like, I want to get into it now. So it's just, I don't know. It's not the worst, it's not the best. Because this is an expensive AF hobby. And it would probably be more universally appealing for people if it wasn't. But at the same time, I don't know the full logistics of how much any of this costs to make, put out, any of that. I do know from back in the day when I worked at a video game store that when they came to us to try to get us to sell, because they needed a store in our area, or they wanted a store in our area, that I got to see at the time what the behind the scenes pricing looked like. It's probably changed a lot over those years, but the markup was nice. I can see why a lot of stores get into it. And it's probably one of the better strategies as a company for like mom and pop game stores to, instead of being like, yeah, you get like 2% for every sale you make, to instead be like, yeah, you get like 50% for every sale you make. Like that just feels better as a company. Which is kind of why it was so expensive, and it was mostly because they were sort of, at the time, respecting the mom and pop shops that were actually making them a thing in areas where the stores didn't exist. I know a lot of people are talking about this stuff, though, on my local Discord. Specifically the transfers. Out of all the players of all the factions I've ever seen, Blood Angels is the only one where people seem super interested in the transfers, which is very weird to me. Like normally everyone's like, oh, transfers, let me throw these out real quick. But Blood Angels players are just like, yo, transfers. I cannot wait to make my Blood Angels have their transfers. It's just one of those peculiar situations. Like I was cleaning my one drawer here not that long ago, and I came across all my Thousand Sun transfers. And I was like, oh, I forgot about these. And then I throw them out. just immediately. It's like, oh yeah, you're supposed to be in the trash can. Like, the conversation on my local Discord's been going on for a little bit about, like, man, I need more of these. Hey, I got extra transfers if you want them from this purchase I made recently. And then, like, pictures have been going up of the 3D symbols that exist. I think there's some models out there that get 3D glue-on symbols for, like, vehicles and stuff. And they're like, oh, I need so many more of these. We're doing all right. Crompy, we're coming along. We're getting some work painted, which feels a little like winning. Especially after coming down from finishing all of these endless spells that are just sitting along the back of my table because I can't find a place to put them yet. Need more storage. Because, yeah, these came out really well. I really like the results of this. It looks so wild because of the shifter paint. And the chrome on the mirror works so good. They're, like, it's so reflective and so flat. And the fact that I only did it from one angle so the yellow shows through, it was nice. It's a nice. We've only got 3 more guys to do this gray toning to. This will definitely take a couple days at least, and then we got to figure out basing. I just don't know what we're going to do for these guys with their bases. I might razor blade them off their bases and then redo them. I've been thinking about going to the art store and picking up chicken wire mesh so that I can do bases with chicken wire mesh. Jesus, Crompy. We'll do that in bolt gunmetal. Oh no, I'm out of beverage. Worst case scenario, I finish painting these guys, and these aren't ones that actually turn into an updated 3.0 kill team. No. There's probably someone at the store I could sell them to, though. So many people are thinking of going Imperial Agents. Just to do it. Not because they're strong, but because they're weird. It's one of those things where it's like, you could have gone Genestealer Cult. If you want weird, go Genestealer Cult. But you're so ingrained in not playing a Xenos army that you genuinely wanted to wait for an Imperial version of a Xenos army to pick up. Because genuinely, that's what the Imperial Agents feel like to me, is they're just Genestealer Cult, but they still use the Aquila as a symbol. You get all the different leader types, assassins, all that stuff. There is a local person, though, coming along with their Skaven Genestealer Cult. Their, as he calls it, the Cheese Stealer Cult. Just finished painting some very specific characters with rat heads. Or rather, putting them together. What up, Silvers? 2 arms aren't as good as 4, Pope. Just saying. You can get a lot more done with 4 arms. We could be working on 2 minis at the same time right now. Like, I'm telling you, if I had the money for it and someone was like, we can add to your total amount of arms with bionic arms, yeah, I'd be front of the line. They're like, dude, 6, I don't care. Put them wherever you can figure it out. And he still has them. They're just decayed. Melted to the chair he's sitting in. That room has to smell. The foulest of stenches. This stance. I swing of the axe. I don't know how I feel about the xylophone songs. Makes me think I'm playing Played Up. Kind of happy I got that video done. I was so worried it wasn't going to get done because I started it, and literally as I was starting it, it was just an ocean of time of just people coming in and being like, hey, can you help me move a chair? Can you help me get this desk moved? You got to come over to the other house and like get these things put away for us because we can't carry them down the stairs. I was like, oh my God. I actually thought it wasn't going to be done till Tuesday. But then I kind of powered through the edit in one sitting in like 2 hours. I was just like, oh, thank you. Thank you. Complete. We did it. A lot of the pre-formatted scenes have really been helping. The ones of like me walking down a hallway. The new scene, something I should have been doing since the beginning that I completely spaced on is shooting all of the B-roll scenes in 4K. That way when I play them back to use them, like I really should probably go back and redo the walking scene at 4K. That way when I zoom in and out, you guys don't lose like the visual aesthetic. It doesn't like get too low quality. That might be something I spend some time doing. Well, he psychologically does that. He's like supposedly he's a regular statured human. Like he's a little taller than you'd expect. But his whole thing was to try to make people think he was a god. So he sort of always had this illusion going of him being like 20 feet tall. Just massive being. But it was just this constantly running psychic illusion to get people to think he was just grander than he was. It's like buying a Lamborghini, but with psychic powers. No, yeah. The Emperor's a massive egotist. Like, almost everything about all of the stories, like, he's not a good person. He's a bad person with a lot of power. That's all it is. A very bad person with a ton of power. Which, I mean, that's Grimdark. That's 40K. We shouldn't not expect that. I'm glad they've started talking more about the Tau side of like what they do. Did you catch that? Did any of you actually watch the reveal show? Because they went into detail about how the Tau Empire sort of brainwashed their allies to doing things. The communal helmet, and they were like, certainly not a device for controlling a person. Definitely just a device to allow them to talk and confer information. And I was like, oh, nice. They're doing it. They're leaning into the brainwashing side of the Tau Empire. Sweet. I think we'll do the tire treads in this color because it'll eventually be metallic. And then the middle section will end up being that brass color I'm going to use. I'm happy for that. Because I feel like a lot of people still view the Tau as like actually probably the only good faction in the entire galaxy, because you look at what they do in general and how they speak of things, and you're like, oh, they have to be good. But because they don't really write a lot of like Xenos books and dive into a lot of their lore as much as you would hope, like there's not been a lot of straightforward, like, yeah, they use mind control situations. And now we've got one, which is awesome. Oh yeah, the team you play? Mind controlled. The actual person playing the team is a Tau commander off-site, utilizing their technology to trick these animals into doing what they're supposed to do. It just makes it funny, because there's all that writing of Tau interacting with certain Imperial outposts, where the Imperial outpost is using, like, servos and stuff like that. And the Tau are like, that's barbaric. Meanwhile, let's strap this helmet to this thing and make it do what we want. Oh, you're talking about the servo tank? Yeah, that's in the Aquilon team. He looks cool. He's another heavy weapons platform, which is nice. That's kind of like how the Inquisition team works with their gun servitors. They have really good, like, extra stuff like that. It's just super fun. They made it sound like you don't always want to use it. So there's probably a potential for that thing to kind of be like limited in how often you want to apply it, maybe. Because you might have to sacrifice something to use it. It doesn't look like it deep strikes. So maybe that's the limit on it, is that it has to start on the field. So it'll start with your third of your army, which isn't the worst necessarily. It depends on the map. Getting some correctionary white in. Like, them slipping that out there made me want to, like, if they did another Fire Warrior, how crazy would that be? It kind of sucks. I feel like what needs to happen is a game that comes out in the 40K universe really needs to touch on the horror of it a bit more than I've seen so far. Like, I feel like the Space Marine game is going to be full Jingo, right? Like, it's going to be full on, like, yeah, humans are the heroes kind of situation. And it's not really going to lean into the moments you would expect out of the 40K universe, right? Which kind of sucks, because if you look at it, the whole premise is set up around the idea that the Thousand Sons are, like, doing something on this planet that seems to be pulling the Tyranid there. Which also means Thousand Sons are there, which means there's a cult there. Which, to my estimation, would normally mean that there's reason to kill general people on that planet. Like, Imperial-wise, there's like a rationale behind maybe an Inquisitor being there to be like, any of these guys could be an advocate of chaos, kill them all, like that kind of stuff. Like, you could have that moment where you're introducing all these people who are like, oh, Space Marine looks like a really cool Gears of War. And then they're playing the game, killing civilians at one point, and they're just like, holy crap, this is 40K? It's like, yeah. You think you're the good guy. You're just another piece of shit. But you're doing what you do, because if you don't, it could be worse. Like, that's the reality of it. People who take the moral high ground in this universe are the ones who are usually the reason behind planets falling to enemies. No, yeah, playing other things is cool, but I feel like anytime they make you play like a Space Marine, they always try to make them look like paragons of morality, which is super weird to me. And then I remember like the Fire Warrior game. I guess because Fire Warrior came out back when the Tau were still pretty new, and they were probably still trying to suss out the lore. But it felt like you were playing a paragon of morality. Which, it was, like, at the time, I guess that's fine. But I feel like if they did it again, I would really want them to touch on the whole, like, dystopian society that the Tau create. Because that could be kind of cool. Like, you start out as a fire cast in the area of town that's really nice, talking to all the leaders. And then you have to, like, head through a part of your city that's, like, everyone else that isn't Firecast. And it's just misery. Keep the ones I'm fixing separate. That way we know. If they do put that in the game, that'll be mind-blowing to me, because they normally won't. No reason to make the person playing the game feel awkward. Thought I was supposed to be saving these people. You are. For the Emperor. Did I do the shoulder thing? Do any of these guys have that shoulder thing? This guy does. What's up, Francois? Got some breachers to paint. I might get the box. I'm thinking of getting the new box. I know they're going to, according to them, day one, they're also going to be selling the expansions for the game start stuff, which I genuinely think... My buddy said he was concerned that the beginning of the game is going to still be very cagey because of all this new stuff, because he's assuming that you're going to be able to put your barricades down along with like all this other stuff. I think you're going to have to pick. And I think it's a really cool way to expand the game a little bit, because let's say you don't really need barricades, you want to stay like mobile or something, but you want to make sure that you know, you're not shot from a certain angle. You get a smoke screen. Maybe the smoke screen can be placed a little more forward than a barricade. You know, you prep some stuff a little bit better. You just work with that. Ha! Just posted to the Minis Whip channel. Boom, Whip channel. Mini Whips. Nice. He's like walking tomato sauce. Gold looks good. So you don't really, I mean, you can get like a little bit more detail in there. I'm seeing like a little bit on the handle of the weapon that's not, doesn't have black on it, it looks like. So outside of that, the only thing you can really do with these is consider like stylistic stuff that maybe you want to take part in. I noticed the mouth has hoses going into the side of the jaw that you kept flesh colored. It's just minor details. I mean, they look good normally, and there's also on the flesh tone, you see those bumps. Those are actually like metallic components coming out of the body, which you could probably touch with metal with like a small brush if you want to do that. Just generally though, they're fine. They're table ready. They're good to go. Got a good red color, a nice gold color. It all works. It's good. From my standpoint, how I like to paint things, this was always my issue with World Eaters. When you paint flesh tone on a World Eater, I always try to do like a completely off-brand flesh tone. Because what you've got going here with the darkened skin tone, like the dark red, is it looks so close to the armor for me. But that's just me. Like, that's just me being like, I would do like a weird color. I would either make them like pasty white, because I personally want the contrast, but you don't need it. You don't necessarily need it. The eyes came out though. Eyes are good. Glass half dead. What's up, man? Hopefully everything went good in the move. I know you've been kind of going, oh dude, these things, so good. They're so good. So good. Oh, I love them. I'm also kind of stuck in a move situation. It's a little weird. That's why my videos haven't really been coming out. Because all my stuff is here, but I'm still managing a property somewhere else where I gotta stay. So it's like, But yeah, the gray one, definitely the choice. Also, it is top tier. I kind of want to go to my local art store and inform them of the fidget popper meta and see if they'll get it. Just to like help out locals. Yeah, that'll help some people. I work with a lot of other people on YouTube. My main job is to edit on YouTube, basically, at this point. And like some of the people I work with went from, oh, I gotta film skits all the time, to, you know what, I'll just sit in front of a camera and just talk. And like that's their life now. They cut standards and they kept their communities, and it seems to work. For me, it's like I can sort of cut standard a little bit, just a little bit, but I still just want to focus on kind of like the animated little character and stuff, and you know, my buddy Greg and all that. I do have enough video recorded of like settings for them to possibly be able to do that as like a less edited video. I'm always so worried putting them out though. Today seemed alright. Okay, correctives done. This is the scheme for my guys. Still need to pick ones for the guns though. This guy got some correctives on him with white. I gotta update. No, yeah. This is so wonderful for drop. It's wonderful for everything. I've used it for the Army Painter, speed paint droppers. I've used it for Pro Acryl White. And it cleans so well once it dries. It's so perfect. Because I used to buy those art store plastic dome cups in bulk. Like, I'd have a stack of them next to me because those never clean out. No, yeah, I want to keep the gimmick, definitely. I love it because it feels like Aqua Teen Hunger Force, and that was my favorite, like, of all time. I want to expand on that a little bit. The hope is that at some point I can get enough things with, like, multi-directional pictures taken, where I can have, like, other creatures and stuff show up and do, like, more skit work. That's easy to throw together. That's the trick. I got a Hanna-Barbera, the ability to like throw together random skits. Just have all that stuff in my back pocket. Correctives, and then we put on the Ancient Honey. Ah. What the hell? You seeing this? These are my buddies. What? Dude, I put that in my... If I put that in my transfer case, that is gonna be, like, stuck forever. I'm pretty sure he used super glue, so I might want to, like, put these in the freezer. No, yeah, they should. It's definitely a YouTube thing, since most people feel like they're stuck in their niches. And anytime they try to like extend out, it gets weird. I'm happy that occasionally I'll put out a video like the Castigator thing that I did, and it actually gets like good views, and it still gets like okay viewership every now and then. Just because it's a hobby video, and it's like a little worrying since I'm not really a hobby channel. Although I stream the hobbying stuff a lot. Because it's easier than making videos right now. I gotta paint the hand black. I think it's just because there isn't a lot of channels. Like there's not. And the problem is with tabletop, I think there's like two general communities, right? There's the community that wants to learn. So you got to put out videos that show strategy, concepts, things people might not have thought of or known about, ways that certain rules interacts, and you need to try to figure out a way to package it so it's like a decent amount of time in a video to make YouTube be like, oh yeah, we want to put this in front of people. We can put ads in it. Ads! So you kind of got to go that route, which hobbying tends to be the way to go with that. GW doesn't really like ban that much. I don't think they really know how to handle that. So you got to do that. You got to do like battle reports, which as Bricky showed, as I've experienced, which I still want to put them out, it's such a hassle just to do it. Like, I still want to put it out, but the small group of friends that I have that actually made it possible for me to put out battle reports, like, they're busy. So I have to turn to my local community, and they're all like weird with when they can go places and why. It's rough. What do you mean, France? So you're doing the Castigator. Any suggestions for the base? Oh, the legs I read that as possible. The legs are so posable, dude. The leg, I did the Captain Morgan stance. That's just moving the legs. They're supposed to stand straight up and down. I made it so that the one leg was turned in. No, yeah, battle reports, I love doing them because I love showing people stuff that way. But, like, yeah, Bricky got a channel that had a huge following already for battle reports that the guy was stopping because it wasn't really doing that well. And then, like, he was like, I can make it work. And then he was like, I couldn't make it work. Like, it was, yeah. But you got to find the other avenues. And then the problem is with the system we're in, with the niche pedantic people and stuff, the only ones that seem really interested in news, well, not the only ones, the bulk of them, the biggest piece of the pie of people who are interested in news are the people who are interested in failure. It's not just us either. It's not just 40K in general. It's not Games Workshop-y stuff. It's any nerd thing. There are so many channels out there that get absolute ridiculous amounts of viewership because every video they put out is just like, it gets worse. And it'll be D&D, it'll be like just anything. As long as they can put the spin on something to make it sound like this huge bad thing, that's how they get their viewership. And that's partly because I think more on the community end. That like a lot of the people in this community, on YouTube in particular, love watching failure. They love thinking something is bad and then being verified that information. The only way that a tabletop seems to work is with membership. Like, That also seems to be Mountainside. Like Mountainside got big on their Patreon, to my understanding, which it gave them like at least a bit of a cushion, not like a huge cushion, but it seems like most channels that want to do content like battle reports, they need to make money in other ways to then make the channel big enough to then be able to do ads. Oh, dude, I think my battle reports were fine. I tried to keep it very explicit. Like, just very, this is what happened. This is why this strategy didn't work. This is why the strategy worked. Kind of like ways to tell people, you know, like, oh, in future, look out for this. With this team, pay attention to these locations and these units, because knowing where they are makes you know what your opponent's trying to do. Like stuff like that. I try to be a little bit informative, which some people took that as me mocking the enemy teams by being like, yeah, don't do this. They're like, oh, why would you say that? And it's like, because it's true. Because this is a learning experience for you guys. No, yeah, that's how you do the battle. But like everything else, it's kind of rough. It's why I'm trying to figure out the news thing the way I want to do it. Which the news cycle is a little weird because it's mostly about leaks. Which is awkward. It's kind of what I want to do a little bit of hobbying. But I think I also want to do like long form videos where I do get like good B-roll at tournaments and stuff. And maybe go over kind of tournaments, the results, stuff like that. The journey. Kind of the, just like love letters to nerddom, like the positive side of nerddom. You played AOS yet? I think you did the Spearhead stuff, right? AOS is actually kind of interesting. The meta is a little weird now, thanks to Nagash. But, meta brought to you by Nagash. But I do really want to attempt, because there's so many death players near here, and I know a few of them are going to Nagash. I kind of want to attempt, even though I finished all of these endless spells. I want to do the Disciples of Tzeentch trick with the Simulacrum, because the Simulacrum is an endless spell that when it attacks a wizard, which Nagash is, it gets +1 to the rend to the attacks, and it hits for the total wizard level in damage plus D3. So bare minimum against Nagash, it's 10. He hits between 10 and 12 damage every attack at Rend 2 against Nagash. And I kind of want to do this like Fate Dicey trick of guaranteeing it can be summoned. And then just sprinting in and then Fate Dicing all of the attacks to hit and wound. Just one tap a Nagash. Kya! But yeah, AOS seems to be taking off in my area, which is good. I think historically there's only been like 2 or 3 people who played AOS at that local store. and that felt sad. Like, that genuinely felt sad. AOS is such a weird thing because it feels like it should be a lot bigger than it is, but then you watch like War Games Live, and he'll go cast a tournament in like Canada or something at a comic convention where they have a 40K tournament and an AOS tournament that's supposed to happen at the same time, and the 40K tournament's just like filled with hundreds of players, and the AOS tournament has like 3 players. I mean, fun, of course, is subjective per person. I definitely have a friend. I love Kill Team. My friend has a ton of Kill Team stuff, but he also, over time, decided that Kill Team wasn't that fun just because he wants to be full momentum and violence turn 1. Like, that's the game he's looking for, is full momentum and violence turn 1. And Kill Team is not that game. And he kind of likes the idea of 40K, but 40K with the map building is in a similar function. Spearhead is good-ish. My criticism of Spearhead, which, I mean, I still want to put out videos for all this. I have so much footage. My criticism of Spearhead is, even though I feel like its purpose is to teach players how to deal with melee, like, very intricately by forcing you into it turn 1, it also makes the game a little less strategic because you're basically just in combat. Whoever gets initiative is in combat turn 1 every single time. We're thinking of it. I have a lot of the Warcry stuff. We might check it out at some point. I don't know. I'm trying to get him to play Underworlds, though, because I have a ton of Underworlds teams. And that game is basically just alternating turns chess. You are pretty much set to go since turn 1. It's so fun. Like, we actually have like a small league here locally, casually, where we play the pre-build league. I don't know, man. AOS does some weird stuff. I play Disciples, and I was really mad at the index rules for Disciples because they're not that intricate or interesting. But then I started looking at the individual models and like the weird stuff I can do that I really wish was in 40K, but probably never will be. Ugh, it was so cool. Just like ways to use secondary resources and stuff. It's just so weird. Like, some of the weirdest 40K teams with their resource management and, like, side things they can do is the most basic of AOS team. Which I think is kind of cool. Just a little bit. But yeah, my local store, did you see the, I mean, you've probably seen them. I think they're still up to date, too. I need to compare them to the online compendium. Let me go grab them. From what I can tell, they sold quick reference cards for Warcry. And you basically get them in what sort of looks like a blind, sort of like one of those blind draw packs for pretty much anything at this point. Any kind of game format. Where the hell did I put them? Probably over here. I need to organize my game section. Ah, got them. I think we might be getting the Kill Team cards that they talk about in this format. Small cards. Genuinely, I think we're going to get them in this format. I have Demons and Mortals. Because, I don't know if I'm going to be able to buy, if they do the quick reference cards at full scale size like they've been doing with like 40K and now the new AOS cards, I don't know if I can afford that. I have so many teams. But if they did them like this, I got these because there's like zero Warcry scene locally, although at the other store I play at, people are starting to talk about it. I got these from my local for $2 a bag. Just $2. Yeah, they need, for the Kill Team Quick Ref, they need to go this scale. They need to. It'd be great. If they just sold like a single box that was like, this is all the compendium teams. No, yeah. Free rules. They've been trying real hard for the accessibility side of the game. And they've been needing to for a while. I didn't even care if the rules went free, honestly. Like, if it was part of, like, one of the app memberships, I would have been like, that's fine. But to go fully free, that's cool. I love it. You know, I can maybe get rid of a whole shelf of books I have right now that I don't want. God, I have all the old books. And, like, none of the rules actually are 100% what they are in the book. So now I just got to carry my tablet to and from events. And just pull up all my info on it. Get that quick ref. No, we have zero clue. When you're as used to corporate speak as a lot of us are, like, you really hear it whenever they do an interview at Games Workshop, and it feels very explicit when they say certain things. They're like, yeah, it's doing this, and you're like, Why did he not go into detail about exactly what it's doing? Why is he keeping it a little on the surface? And then you're just like, oh, I guess we'll see. All right, man. That's about it for the black. What time is it? 1:47. I could probably do a bit of the yellow. Feeling yellow. Ancient Honey. Because Zealot Yellow is good, but it also goes a little bit too much to the orange. Whereas Ancient Honey is light yellow to dark yellow, which is what you want. And it looks so gooey. So gooey. So the plan is for the fix at these gaps here of like ruffled up ribbed outfitting, we're gonna do yellow. What's great is since the cloth is black background, you can be a little overzealous with the yellow. Don't go too overzealous because it will be a little tonally picked up in the black. But you can kind of get just to the edge and push a little bit further out. Oh, this was the leader. Might do the shoulder pads differently. I don't know. Sometimes I like to emphasize who the leader is in paint scheme. I do a lot of things in like tabletop games where I'm trying to give my opponent like as much information as humanly possible with minimal effort on my behalf. Like if all the units look the same and there is a leader that they can go for, I'll usually give it like a different colored shoulder pad or something. So they're like, oh, it's the guy with the blue shoulder pad. I'm like, yep. Just gotta shoot at him and all will be well. I feel like it kind of speeds the games up a little bit when decisions can be made at a much faster pace. Might have to go back over all these guys and do a little bit more correctives. I completely forgot that the coat has like one little piece coming up. Oh, not all of them have coats though. But they've got like one strip on this one side here that needs to be white so that it can go yellow. What color do we want to make this guy's power sword? I can probably hold off doing that till later. But at the same time, I have an idea. The idea hit my brain. We're doing it. I need pink and I need magenta. pink. Painting with ADHD. Whew, it's good to see you people coming in on a Monday. I did a Thursday stream this week. Friggin', by the end of it, I had 30 people who had watched it over 3 hours. I was like, oh, there goes my channel. Oh no. Oh, that was a bit of a scurry moment for me. I think we have a plasma gun in here as well. I'm guessing the gunner in this team had an option to go Melta. Because these are my friends, which means if they are not Melta, if they're plasma instead, it's kind of because he was all in on the plasma boat. It's a universally good option, but at the same time, you can't, like, not have the other options, because those are actually way better in different situations. Like, Melta is so good in close quarters. Probably should wait until I'm done painting this gun. You usually want to do the glowy bits last so you can correct any paint that gets onto it first. But I still don't know what color I want these guns to be. They might end up being red, kind of like a fire extinguisher. Go with magenta. We put it kind of in the middle, at the top, just to darken it up a little bit. Pew pew. Back to yellow. Kind of want to do this guy with the yellow, because we're going to do the yellow strip down the middle. Actually got in to grab my sushi burrito today. What up, Chase? I mean, we got, I don't know when you're leaving, but we got about an hour. You can chill, talk, hang out, converse. But yeah, I got my sushi burrito today. The lady there, yeah, some of the times I go there, she's just like, I'll order my food and I'm like, all right, I'm on my way. I'm heading out. And she'll be like, hey, do you like chicken curry? I'll be like, what? Oh, all right, Chase. What's up, Luca? So, I mean, long story short, I've got chicken curry in the fridge. I wasn't planning on eating chicken curry today, but now I kind of got to swing by the grocery store and grab some rice. New kill teams look cool, and the new kill team sounds interesting. It's a little bit up in the air whether certain things are going to happen kind of the way we would prefer it, but we'll see. We'll see what's about to happen. No one knows anything about Compendium. I actually brought it up in the video I put out today. Like, they said that they're, you know, moving stuff forward, but they also weren't super explicit about what's coming forward. They were just like, hey, the teams you play will be coming forward. And it's like, that's kind of universal when you say, like, teams you play are coming forward. But that's also, like, when you don't follow that up with those teams include all Bespoke and Compendium, like, you don't physically say that out loud, it's because there's a good chance that's actually not going to happen. It should, but we don't know. It should for no other reason than there'll be 0 Tyranid kill teams if they get rid of Compendium. The White Dwarf teams should move up because those are basically just Bespoke teams. If not, then I have some stuff for Thousand Suns that is not at all painted the way my army is that I can't really use in my army. Star Strider, I mean, they might be getting... Star Striders are going to be back for most likely... what is it? The Imperial Agent stuff. Star Striders, I think, are still part of that, right? Like, a little bit? Maybe? It might just be getting, like, a reboxing. Because I imagine Star Striders right now are still sold in Kill Team boxes. And I think to try to keep people in, like, trying to keep customers in a situation where they look at something and immediately know what it's for. I feel like what they need to do is for boxes like, let's say, the Star Striders or like the Scorpions or something, they need to get put out in 40K boxes with like a little Kill Team tag next to it to be like, hey, this is also Kill Team. I mean, we'll always get some leaks. 100% there's someone working at Games Workshop on like the testing team who straight up talks to half of these YouTube channels that do leak runs. They 100% do. Like, some of them get PDFs of rules in advance of the releases. Like, there's no way. What is this song? Huh. Skip. No, don't full screen. Skip. The thing is, I know, to my understanding, I know GW doesn't like that. The old way that leaks occurred, and I'm not even kidding you, the old way leaks occurred is if somebody worked at a Games Workshop store, they would get emails to be like, hey, so that you guys are ready for upcoming cool stuff to happen, we're releasing new models for the Tau. So, you know, maybe get ready to resection your Tau so that people can come in and see more Tau units more promptly displayed, to be like, oh, I kind of want all these Tau units with that new Tau unit that just came out. That kind of stuff, right? And then shortly after those emails come out, YouTube channel, like top of the pack. Hey, rumor, new Tau units. It was because of the shop owners. The shop owners 100% leaked everything. And it apparently changed how the shop owner function works. There's like this more secure email. There's ways to like track what you do with the emails you're getting. Like, dude, it's crazy. And now I'm pretty sure the thought process is that someone working in the extremely limited sized testing team, which I'm pretty sure is a limited size testing team because of this. They're the ones leaking now. Like, it's just a person working on the testing team who's like, here, let me give you the info. Which happened way more often in the past, which is why that testing team got, like, annihilated. Now everyone's like, oh, no one tests games at Games Workshop. It's like, yeah, because you idiots just really want rumors all the time. It's causing problems. Music, cycle forward. I do commissions. I'm almost done painting all my own stuff. I have a lot of people locally bringing up that they want to commission me for things, but between this and my illustration and everything that I do, a lot of my life is people telling me they're going to do stuff and then not doing it. It makes me sad. Like, I have a person who's like, I want you to do a Great Unclean one for me. I started researching how to install LEDs because I found blacklight LEDs. And I was getting ready. I was like, yeah, man. I know how to do all this. I'm going to put like 5 different LEDs in them. I'm going to wire them all to one thing because the bottom of that base is big enough that I can actually have like a multi-sectional like wiring system to like maybe 1 or 2 different batteries. I'm going to use my fluorescent blacklight reactive paint on them. That way when you plug it in and turn on the black lights inside, people will see the glow and the purple and everything. It's going to look wild. He was like, oh, that sounds great. This was like 5 months ago. Oh, nice. Yeah, I think the going rate for me was something like 30 or 40 per model. It depends. My brain's still trying to work out how I do it because I wouldn't say I'm like I wouldn't say I'm a standard painter, right? Like, I'm not the guy who's like, yeah, I put down the base layers and then I build up and we do the gradients and we do 100% proper, like all this function. No, that's not me. I'm very much a Bob Ross style, like figure out how to make it look cool with as minimal effort as humanly possible. And then just do that. So like, depending on what I'm looking at and how much I'm planning on doing, it changes the value. But I think between like 20 and 40 per model, normally, unless that model is absolutely crazy with detail. And then it's like either like 100 or a couple hundred for a single monster. But yeah, my salvagers, I think, were one of the first where when I finished them, I was actually really happy with how the underglow effect worked. It was my kind of my first iteration of thinking heavily on how I do underglow. Honestly, maybe YouTube, maybe through Discord if you have it. Wait, let me grab one of my salvagers. Grab a couple salvagers actually, because I do really love how these guys came out. They look so good, especially this one. I even did the exhaust lights. I did them in the yellow. Properly glowing blades, and then just underlit magenta. Made the planet magenta as well, so it looked like the world they're on is what's lighting them from below. And then I kind of took that and I've run with it ever since. Frickin' my scouts I did in a similar fashion. I've even applied that same like underglow logic to pre-shader. Because if you use a lot of contrast, you can technically pre-shade things in interesting ways, depending on what you're gonna apply as color over top of it. Because pre-shading a surface to be like, oh, let me do a light blue and then let me do a zenithal of white. Now I'm going to apply the contrast over the whole area. And that contrast in the shady areas isn't just going to be made darker, like with people who are like, yo, you got to do gray, right? Like gray to white or whatever. Instead, the light blue forces the color you're using with contrast to mix. So it's like the yellow and blue will be a different color completely. And as you do it across the entire model, the shadow feels sort of universal in its tone, and then everything else just kind of plays in perfectly with it. Yeah, same name. I try to be fairly universal on it. The question always comes down to shipping. I'm trying to figure out good ways to ship this stuff to people. I think I found a way with the magnets that I like. But since most of my commissions are like local pickup is how it would work normally, I kind of want to figure out how to ship. And I've seen ways of shipping where you utilize kind of how I'm doing it with sort of shoe boxes. Not like cardboard shoe boxes, but clear plastic shoe boxes. Usually there's like small ones that you can get, like small clear plastic supporty boxes. And then I would just put magnets on the bottom so that the unit could be magnetized to it with a proper big magnet that just holds it in place. And then I think I would put like maybe peanuts. I gotta find something that I'm okay with putting in there. This is the issue I have, is it probably will be like paper, like crumpled paper or something maybe. I don't know. Because the idea is it can't break the guns off. It can't break the small things off. It needs to re-support it just in case the magnet does come undone for whatever reason, which it shouldn't with the new glue that I use. but also it should keep them from sliding around depending on how it's moved. It's crazy. The one idea I had for like large enough orders is for the security of shipping. I would buy one of the big transport boxes that people sell on Etsy to then put your army in, seal that box completely properly with like the little joints they give you to lock the trays in place, and then ship that, because I thought that'd be kind of cool. Be expensive as hell. But if someone commissions me to be like, yo, paint me an entire Genestealer cult army, I'd be like, dude, I got you. And it'll arrive to your house in the box you can take it to tournaments with. Shipping will be incredible. That'd be the heaviest box ever. Yeah, it'd be a bit expensive though. I feel like a lot of people, when they pay for the construction and painting of armies, that's all they want. Because they want to get the most out of that, and then they'll figure out transport later. I feel like it would be a very niche crowd that's like, oh yeah, definitely give me the box as well for the extra like $400. Yeah, I did an illustration that I had to put in a flat pack box. Like, I did so many layers. It was like multiple layers of paper, like board paper, into bubble paper, into cardboard, like all so that it wouldn't bend or twist or anything in shipping. And then I had to ship it to Germany, and it was like $70. No, yeah, I'll give people the option if they want me to send it to them. Because, dude, the boxes I get from the transport boxes I get from Tabletop Stronghold, God, they are so good. They are so good. The magnet trays in them are perfect. They're just, oh. Not even sponsored. I had to buy both of the boxes I have from them. And I'm debating getting at least one more box. Probably another small one for Kill Team. I got the large one to transport whatever army I'm playing. And then I got a small one, which is explicitly for my Underworlds. Like, I have everything of my Underworlds in that box. I can just go to any tournament. I can pick a team when I get there and just play. And then I kind of want one for other skirmish games, Kill Team, potentially Warcry, just stuff like that. Because the small one's great. The small one is so mobile. This guy's a lot closer to being done. Thank you for being my test paint. I'm I'm a little like annoyed. I don't have a lot of room here. I have way too many teams and armies and stuff, and it takes up a lot of my room locally. And to see that terrain, I love that terrain. It looks really good. I can't think of where I'm gonna put it because I have Chalnoth. I have an actually expanded Chalnoth. I have Chalnoth, and then we also bought like a second box of like standard Chalnoth. So like that's all my Chalnoth terrain is just 2 big boxes. We have the close quarters boards, which those are kind of easy to stow away. My thing is to paint that terrain in the new box. I think I'm going to want to magnetize it. I'm going to want to figure out how to magnetize it so it can snap together, and then I can flat pack it away. And I don't know how easy that's going to be, because the problem with that kind of stuff is usually it's designed so that you insert pieces of terrain into connectors, which, I mean, that's useful for magnetizing, but it's also really bad when you paint it, and the paint is just thick enough you can't do that anymore. It's why I'm looking into a lot of like the Etsy and Kickstarter terrain things, because there's a few on there where it's like you get 1 box, right? And it's just 1 box, and it's just flat packed away, and you can be like, all right, cool, let's play a game. You open the box, you build like 20 buildings out of what's in it, and you're good. And it's like that. I want that. Because those are, I think, pre-magnetized to snap together. It's just great. That terrain, though, the issue is the terrain they showed off is actually really good, I think. Because it does look like it's designed with the Kill Team rules in mind. Right? What is this one? Colored. Okay. If you look really closely at the terrain, like I talked about in the video, you'll find that the buildings, it looks like parts of the walls are kind of cut in almost squared fashion. That way, when you're next to a building, there's going to be a piece of wall that's 2 inches to go over. There's going to be a piece of wall that's 3 inches to go over. And you kind of have to position a little differently depending on how far you want to move. So it looks a little bit better, in my opinion, with traversal, so that you kind of know what you're doing. What's up, JB? So the separate ladders and grenades, that looks like they just expanded the setup, which I think is good, because setup right now for us is just barricades. And barricades, yeah, they're great, but some teams you'll find are like, I don't even care about these things. I don't even need to use them really that much. Or the map you're on just makes them kind of useless. So all this new stuff looks kind of cool, and I'm wondering how it's going to be used. Like, how's that Voxcaster going to be used? It looks like you can also set up minefields and stuff like that, so it almost feels like you can expand certain other teams that have something similar, like the Jaegers or the Scouts. And at the beginning of the game, you kind of create your strategy by being like, well, I don't want barricades. I do want smoke grenades. I don't want like the barricades at all, but these barbed wire I can set up further and slow your team down. There's so much more now, I think, with the setup that it actually feels better. Good luck at work, Chase. And I don't know what those separate grenades are outside of potentially making it so that you can like throw a grenade and then go find a grenade and then get a new grenade for your inventory. Like maybe they represent the grenades you have and your plan is to like run up the field, throw a grenade, dash off to the side of the wall, and there's just a grenade sitting behind the wall that you're going to use. We'll have to see. It could be cool. My friend's worried that it's going to slow the game down, but I think it might actually speed it up. Because again, I did bring up that there's only 3 objective markers on the new pop-out stuff. So there's less of a backline, I think. It's going to be objectives in midfield, or most likely 1 objective on your side, 1 objective mid, 1 objective enemy side. Like, that's kind of how you do it in a 3 objective system. And that could lead to some pretty good games by making it a lot more focused on killing, positioning, and then just getting in and doing stuff. There's some potential there. And then alongside the new setup rules, you can kind of generate a fun strategy of, well, I got to go over that wall. So I'm going to drop this ladder over here. And I don't even, I know you're going to put your heavy weapon guy down this hallway. I'm going to put a smoke grenade right here. I'm not going to have any barricades up, but I mean, you're going to have a heavy weapons guy that can't see me, so I don't care. I don't need the cover. I need you to move up. And we'll just see how that works. Yeah, no, I've always hated that. Oh, these guys have to sit here to make sure, you know, you don't take it as well. You know, if I have to loot it every round, it's not fun. That's not a fun way to use your operatives. It's just stupid. And now we don't have to do it anymore. Or maybe we don't have to do it anymore. We still got to see. Nothing in stone, boys. Nothing in stone. Except rock and stone. Oh, crap. Honestly, okay, so do you only have the thing is we don't know anyway what you might want to get your hands on. So apparently in the new system, there is a learning mode, since you guys are getting into it and you guys are getting excited. There's a learning mode that is now co-op. That is a whole new structure and system that is supposed to teach players how to play without kind of that like annoyance level of if one person understands the rules better than the other, then they're just going to stomp them, like that kind of stuff. Because it is difficult. I remember trying to teach my one buddy how to play, and I remember pulling some punches. But, like, it felt bad doing it, because how's he going to learn, right? Like, if he's going to move up like that against a guy he knows who has a grenade, like, he needs to pre-measure how far I can go with that grenade. How's he going to learn? Whereas, when you're playing in co-op, you can at least bring stuff up with your partner and be like, hey, that guy has a grenade. Try not to move up. The way they described co-op kind of gives me some interest. Now, this is something based on our wonder of whether or not the compendium is going to be in here. They definitely brought up the idea of poxwalkers as what you're going to go against. So this could mean one of a couple things. Either co-op is going to have some pre-built-in enemy types like poxwalkers, where they most likely run in the same fashion as the stingwings are going to run when you're not controlling them. Votann, Scouts, Scorpions, Octarius. Okay, so good. Because depending on how the rules are for co-op, you might be able to use some of those as an enemy. You might be able to be like, all right, we're going to play, you know, Scouts and Imperial Guard, and we're going to fight like an oncoming onslaught of Scorpions or something. Or maybe the Votann are coming in. I think it could be fun. I think it could be cool. This just depends on whether or not you can pick anything to be your co-op opponent, or if you have to like do specific stuff, which I think that'll be the downside, is if we get it and it's like, hey, you need to own boxes of Poxwalkers or Kroot. And you're just like, oh, I don't have any of that. I really hope it's a format that works across the board. You just pick a thing from any team and you can just run it as a horde. Because I've got Poxwalkers painted. But I also have like weird stuff. Like I've got pink horrors painted if I want to do demons as the enemy horde army. I think that could be cool. I know a lot of people at the store that I go to have also been getting into Kill Team. So the hope here is that with the release of 3.0, most likely the store is going to run learning games with co-op. Which I wouldn't mind showing up for with like a ton of my stuff. I'll just fill a couple of my travel boxes with like 10 teams. And show up and just be like, hey, let's fight some Pathfinders today. Let's fight some Kroot. Let's get into some Hearthkin. Let's bring down some Space Marine scouts. Because yeah, a lot of people have been posting up like their Dreadclaws and all that. They're like, oh, I can't wait. It's like, dude, you can't wait. I've been waiting for years for you guys to get in on this. Oh, thanks, Vol. Hopefully I can get some more out soon. In the recent video, I did talk about how I'm kind of like stuck in limbo of a move. I'm supposed to be moving here. This is where all my stuff is. And I keep having to maintain a property elsewhere, which means most of my days are spent at like a different house. Supposedly next week, the move is going to be able to be complete. And then that house isn't going to need to be watched anymore. And I'll be good. We'll be good to go. I'll start churning out more videos. Been really hoping to get the AOS rules out there for people interested in AOS. Because the new AOS rules, actually kind of awesome. I do really enjoy them. We can get back into Kill Team content. I should be over here when 3.0 drops, so I can really dive in and try and figure out the rules shifts and changes and see what actually happened. Fingers crossed, all I'm going to need to do is an update video and be like, hey, everything I've already talked about still works. Just, you know, change any instances of distance measurement back to inches, and, you know, here's a couple of clarifications on a few things that they finally got to talk to us about. And then all will be well. Oh my god, you're painting a Nid Kill Team? Dude, fingers crossed for you. I'm hoping Compendium's still good in the new edition. I'm guessing it's going to be, but I mean, there's been too many rumors floating around of some teams getting dropped completely. And currently there's no Nid team that's bespoke, which is sad. You might be able to run them as a different team, but like, I don't know. I am hoping, at the very least, the Nids stick around until they give us a new one. I will say, depending on what Nids you have, look into Gellerpox. Because the Gellerpox, the Hulks are the same size bases as Warriors. You could probably get away with like 4 different looking Warriors and just declare them to be different Hulks. Oh, I never showed you. Did I show you guys this? I got 2nd place in my Spearhead event. So they gave me a resin spear tip painted in silver, which I don't understand that. But also, I got a leather bag with a cool coin in it. It's so heavy. Most people run Genestealers bulk for the Nid one because Genestealers are really good. They come with good enough rules to be able to go against most things. But the guy that won, or got like 8th or 9th place in that big tournament, his list was everything. I think he mostly used Gene Stealers, but I think there were some matchups where he was like, oh, Warriors definitely here. And it worked out. Yeah. Adding roles to people in the Discord. I like that AOS feels more creatively free than 40K. 40K is very honed in. A few of the armies that push themselves a little further out than like honed in straightforward rules, those are the ones people tend to really like out of 40K because they interact weirdly with the rules, like Eldari with their dice, same thing with Sisters. The oddity that comes from Gene Stealer cults, those are really cool. A lot of people like Thousand Suns because of the Cabal points that shift the game so much that it's crazy. But then a lot of the other stuff in 40K is just like, oh, you get a reroll. So there's the bulk of what 40K does is, oh, you have huge consistency. There you go. Like, it's a lot of rerolls. AOS kind of doesn't really do that. But the big thing AOS does is almost everyone's absolutely crazy with their rules. Like, oh yeah, you want to pick these guys up, just put them close to terrain, now they're gone, and they can come over here. And you know, like, there's just so much weird stuff in AOS. And the format, the way they wrote the rules, so good. So stupidly good. They made everything actions. They made a core rule set very specific. Every round, the person who has, like, what is it? Who has initiative goes first. The person who doesn't have initiative goes second. And it's, but like with things that are done in the person who holds the initiative turn, it's probably not, I'm not describing it well. Basically, if it's turn 1 and I am the one in the lead, if we're in the move phase, I move everything I want in whatever order I want, and I use any movement ability that I want in whatever order that I want. And then when that's done, I go, do you have anything? And if you don't, you don't, and we just move on. So it's kind of like Magic the Gathering a little bit in sort of call and response to see if somebody has the ability to do anything, right? But then, like, weird stuff occurs. Let me show you something. Let me move these guys aside. We might use them, though, as reference. Consider them a squad in AOS. Yeah. So this is a Purple Sun, right? Let me back out the camera. So this is a Purple Sun. And normally, in AOS, if a unit moves, it cannot move within 3 inches of an enemy team. That puts it in combat, right? So the reason it can't do that is because all the movement functions, like run and move, explicitly say cannot end in combat range. This Sun comes with an ability on its chart used in the movement phase. It's a core move, which means you can only target a unit once with it. You can only target a single unit once each phase with a single core move. That's core rule. So he can do this to himself. He moves. He can move within 3. It's not a charge, but he can end in combat range. This then, because anything within 3 inches of him gets -1 to their armor, basically, is super useful. Because in the move phase, I can do that and then have a squad off to the side that goes, ha-ha, and then just shoots that squad. And it's great. And you can't easily do that in, like, a lot of the 40K systems. Like, 40K doesn't have that weird built-in jank that makes things work. It's kind of like 40K, but I have the book, actually. We can do this, because we're kind of close to the end of the stream, so I might as well, you know, tinker around. Oh my god, where did my book go? Because I moved all the chaos stuff into that thing, which means I moved the book here? Where did the book go? Rules book. It's so much easier to see using this. So this is the General's Handbook. Technically, you only need this. You don't really need the big rules book because all the rules and rules reference stuff are, let me try to not blind you. There you go. Because all the rules and reference and stuff is all here, universal abilities, and this is very universal. It's not like when 40K came out and they were like, oh, universal rules on weapons, and then like only 2 weapons had the universal rules, everything else had unique rules. So here you go. I need to turn this down further. There you go. So you have all the phases. They're done in sequence. You basically just declare, hey, we're in the hero phase. You do anything you want to do in the hero phase. If you don't have anything to do and your opponent has and has nothing to do, hey, you're now in the movement phase. All this does is it declares what of these you can use. So these are the only abilities for start of turn and hero phase, right? For like universal. Your units will have stuff, there's other things, but for the most part, this is all the universal stuff. So now you're like, all right, cool, we're movement phase. Here's your moves. Any order. If it has core, you can't do it more than once per squad. Yeah, you just do it. Oh, wait, we're in the shooting phase. This is it. And it's just back and forth in that situation, right? So what I mean is with you do stuff, then your opponent does stuff. So in the move phase, I normal move everything I have. I do the move stuff for all of that. Enemy movement phase. That means if it's not your phase, if it is the enemy's movement phase, you can pay a command point to use this. When they're all done all their stuff, you go, okay, cool, I'm redeploying. I now move D6. There's also interrupt abilities as well, like reaction abilities, which can be done after an opponent does something. And it's just very clearly worded, very explicit, so easy to understand. There's very little jank in these rules. I think I found a couple things, but there's not a lot. So it's just this very nice system of everything done on the field is an ability. Passives that you have are still, they kind of fall into the ability function. They're very clear on like glossary terms. And then you get like fun things for seasonal. The thing about AOS that was kind of cool is how seasonal stuff changed the balance a bit, right? So what'll happen is every season they release like a new realm rule, I guess is how we'll say it. In the last season they went to the ice realm, so all these new spells and things happened that were ice specific, and it massively changed the meta of the game without needing to change the units, which was kind of cool. And what we have now is we have the General's Regiment system in the opening match play. When you build an army, you have to construct it out of regiments, where it's sort of like a core squad, and then you have like a core leader, and then you have X amount of squads that leader can take based on what the rules say. So you'll have that squad, and then the primary squad is like your War Master's squad. It's your head honcho squad. That squad, you can pick one unit in it to give it a benefit. So you can have a unit that's like, this is a really good unit for Rend, right? Oh, let me give it plus an extra Rend against infantry. So I could have flamers that are horrifying against any infantry armies, right? And that could be a thing. Or you could have one where you're like, well, this one, I want to assassinate your War Master stuff. So this squad, if it attacks any of your War Master stuff, it's +1 to hit, +1 to wound, like that kind of stuff. And you have to kind of pick that buff and then go with it. I've heard about Conquest. I think I've seen it a few times. Can't remember where though. But yeah, like AOS has fun in refined jank, is how I'll put it. It's just, there's so much randomness, there's so much oddity, there's so much more put in with placement of units that you don't really get in 40K, right? Like, because there's the 1-inch rule, I wish I had any of my AOS models because it looks weird that I'm doing this with 40K models. So you have to stay within a 1/4 inch of each other. So squad composition is a lot more tight in AOS than 40k, right? Pull back again a little bit. And because you have that 3-inch bubble, it actually makes squad placement really good to try to zone people out, yeah? Now, in 40k, you're familiar with when you charge, you go base to base, and that's that, right? Now, in AOS, dice rolling, it's a lot closer to 50-50, like throughout. Like you're either hitting 30% chance or like a 60% chance and then like a 50% chance. At some point, there's like a 50-50 filter on average outside of certain monsters. So these fights tend to be prolonged unless you stack enough debuffs into your opponent that this squad should wipe them. There's really not a lot else you can do. There's no morale anymore in this mode, so fights are fights. But in 40k, this is it, right? Like these guys charged, that's it. In AOS, over the prolonged nature of the fight, I can adjust the squad. The opponent squad can go, no, you don't. When they go, they can adjust. Base to base does not lock you into combat. So there's this free, liquid, flowing nature in combat of everyone moving, as long as they stay within range of all of the enemy units that they started within the 3 inches of. You pick one of those units to try to move closer to, and you can readjust your whole squad. No one's locked in. So it's just a swirling melee, which is really cool. I try to stream Mondays, Thursdays, and Fridays around noon to 3. This schedule might change after I fully move into here, because then I can actually do maybe different times that are a little bit better. But yeah, whoever at Games Workshop writes for AOS and that universe seems to know what the hell they're doing. I think the 40k team is different, and I think they miss out on some important stuff. What time is it? 2:49. I got a little bit of time. A lot of the times when you look at AOS, you'll see specific things. Let me see if I can find that in here. Where is the rules information? There is a very small location. Oh, and because of how coherency is such an issue in AOS, when you take wounds, unlike in 40k where you're supposed to mark individuals in the squads to be like, this guy has the wound on it, so the next time you do the wound, he'll die, and if it breaks coherency, oh well. In AOS, the squad gets the wounds. So if you have a squad of people with like 4 wounds apiece, you actually track the squad. So in AOS, it's actually better to track the wounds going up because you're filling a pool rather than removing the wounds. So you'd be like, all right, this squad has 2 wounds, and you have it following it around. When that rolls to the 3, you get to pick a unit from the squad to remove, as opposed to being like, okay, this one guy is going to die if I get another wound. So a lot more free-flowing, a lot more free-form, with a good amount of emphasis on trying to stay fun. So that's battle plans. Core, oh, it's got to be under core rules. Let me see if I can find it. Because they do this in Underworlds, and it was, oh yeah, here it is. If you only play 40k, you're unfamiliar. This is a flow chart. This shows you every moment in a complete action, when certain things can occur and why. They don't do this in 40k. They just kind of tell you stuff and they're like, hopefully you get it. This literally goes, we told you it. Let me show you in a very like undeniable form. Let me show you what we're talking about. Hey, it's attack. You rolled. Is it successful? Yes. Now, what about the wound? Yes. Was the enemy saved? No. So now there's damage pool. And then the damage pool, once that fills up, goes into the damage sequence. Damage sequence then gets mitigated by ward roll. It's just... Oh my god. Yeah, you adjust the models in this one as well by 3 inches for pile-in. It's not even an action, though. So, well, in AOS. It can be in Conquest, which is fine. In AOS, when you declare you're fighting, it goes, cool, you get to pile in. Pile in is 3 inches. So you have 3 inches to play with, as long as you stay in combat range of enemy units that you're currently in range with. You have to end closer to the unit you chose as the target of your pile in. And that's all. You don't have to do it. You can just go, I'm not piling in, and just continue the fight. But if you want to try to readjust to get better positioning and footing on the field, you can. There's no problem with that. Yeah, there you go. And one of the big changes they made in the original AOS, weapons had range, melee weapons. So you couldn't be within 3 or else you were in combat. But also, if you were within 3, you then had to measure range from your unit to the thing you were attacking to see if you could even attack. The way the game works now is 3 inches is now the universal melee range. Oh my god, I'm completely sorry I left you guys listening to this. I love that the person who made that song is called DJ Williams. It's like, what? DJ? Oh, yeah. But there are commands you can do. You do get a command point pool similar to 40K. Although there's some things involved with that, including like you can get bonuses based on, in AOS, you can choose to have less points than your opponent. And based on whatever number that is, you can get like other things. You can get more command points. You can get access to certain stuff. It's kind of cool. Also, the way you score in AOS, beyond just general objectives and the mission scoring, you kind of have to pick a faction goal. I think every turn, I want to say, you pick kind of what mission goal you're going to have, and then you run it. So when I talk about weird jank you can take advantage of to see if you can like win, so you pick one... I mean, these guys tend to get painted Judge Dredd. I'm painting them to try to feel like firefighters a little bit. Just a little. Not like, basically, grimdark firefighters. Have not played Warcry. I have components for it. I am thinking of trying a mini game against myself to see kind of the general rules of it. Where is... I think it's under Battle Plan. No. Also, area terrain in AOS is really cool. If you're in a piece of area terrain and someone charges you, you'll be able to hit them at normal rating, usually, and they're going to be at a -1 to hit. Like, there's fun stuff that I love that keeps popping up. Whenever I'm looking around at this game and they're just like, oh, this thing happens, by the way. It's like, whoa, why? Why does that happen? But there should be universal missions in here somewhere. Tournament organizer, endless spells. Is it under core rules? It shouldn't be under core rules. I could have swore it was near the beginning. No, there's no way. It was definitely near the beginning. Matched play, glorious victory, battle tactics, season rules. I've heard a lot of people say it's super fun because the rumor was it was going away or getting balled into something else, and a lot of people seemed really pissed. Like, there's definitely a crowd of people who love that game, which, sure. I'm very much that way with Underworlds right now. I love Underworlds. It's so fast. I love the card game element of it. I've lost games in Underworlds, and I don't feel bad about losing them. I'm like, yep. It just, I don't know. Oh, here we are. Battle Tactics. So, because I play Chaos, like, there's universal battle tactics for each of the different alliances. I'm playing Chaos, so I would pick, like, you complete this battle tactic at the end of the turn if 2 or more enemy units were destroyed this turn, right? You pick this one, and then you tell them that's what you're doing, and you try it. What's cool about jank in this game, like rules jank that works in your favor, is I have a character in my army, one of my lists, Kairos. You probably know him from 40k. Kairos has a once-a-game ability where I pick 2 that I haven't already picked, and I try to complete one of them. So during the game, I can pick 2 very polar opposite actions, and be like, "Here we go." And like, you can just confuse your opponent because he's like, "Well, now I have to do 2 things. I have to defend that point and try not to get you to kill 2 of my units. What's happening?" And it's so cool. I think it's good. I heard Warcry is a bit swingy. Well, okay, so I get the oddity of dice roll. That's AOS. Oddity of dice roll is massively AOS. I've seen people spike rolls in the Spearhead games where they wipe out squads just with ease, and then you'll roll normal next, and it's just 2 guys die. It's like, all right, I got nothing. There's not a lot of consistency, and we've talked about this in the store when we've been comparing 40k, which is kind of more what the store started as with like its community. We've compared 40k to AOS stuff, and 40k is like, you get a million ways to reroll. There's so many ways to reroll dice in 40k that, I mean, if you kind of screw up, you're going to be able to deal with it. It's not an issue. Almost everything in that game is just like, oh, let me just reroll that for free. Meanwhile, AOS is 50-50 on 2 different dice rolls. No way to reroll. I need to get moving here soon. I was worried about not having something to cook for dinner. And then a sushi burrito lady gave me curry chicken. Unexpected. The swingy nature in AOS, I think, will make it a little more fun for me, or at least teach me something that I still find myself not learning in 40k. I put so much reliance on my statistical thought process in 40k that I just, you need to not do that. That is not something you should be focusing on, is trying to achieve the statistical ideal form of what a turn should be. Being like, well, these 12 autocannon shots should 100% kill your Space Marines. Don't do that. You know, oh, you have a 5-man squad? Definitely 12 autocannon shots. Yeah, there's a chance that's not going to kill them. Don't play that way. Always assume Alpha Strike. You're probably thinking to yourself, wow, that's a really cool brassy bronze red tone. I know. It's a skin tone. Skin tones are usable for other things than skin. I kind of want to get a quesadilla maker. And by that, I mean I'm going to purchase a human. But yeah, this is the color scheme. It's coming together. What I normally do, well, what we're going to be doing here, is once we get all the flats done, we'll be working kind of back into this with some render elements. For instance, this sort of brassing you're seeing that we're doing here, with this this weird reddish flesh tone. What part of YouTube's music are we just in? This is supposed to be chill music. That's not chill. There's no chill there. what we're going to do is we're going to kind of like do this light dry brushing of a metal over top of it. This is sort of my approach to like a hybrid non-metallic metal. Is you sort of do the flat in the color of the metal that you think would work. And then you take a metallic from that sort of school of color. In this instance, it would be like a reddish one, which is why we're going Warp Lock Bronze. I'm going to show you it because I'm going to have to get moving in here in a second. If I can find my Warp Lock Bronze. That stuff hides from me every time I need it. I immediately don't see it either, which means I've used it recently. What's happening? There's my lead belcher. I'm going to pull that out for later. Are you Warp Lock? No. Are you it? Yes. We got it. Mission accomplished. So the goal is to kind of dry brush this stuff. Get a little bit on the brush. And you just sort of go over some spots a little bit with it. You just kind of hit it lightly. It's going to make it take a little bit of time, but I do like the effect that it gives off. Because it sort of glistens up some of the elevated points. So you find that when you like rotate the model around, certain elements of it will shine. But then under other light, you'll still greatly see the contrast that's underneath. So it looks sort of matted down while simultaneously being metallic. Because at the end of the day, most metallic paints are just a colored glitter suspended in a medium, which means whatever's underneath of it tends to still get seen, which is why when you want to paint like gold or like any kind of gunmetal, you want the base coat of it to be black. Because if it's black, that means that you're not really seeing anything underneath of it. But if you do it in like a color, that color is going to come through at a lot of the angles. Which, when you consider what we're doing here, is actually a positive thing. Because you want to see that color. It's just a metallic color supporting a non-metallic color, as opposed to being the entire emphasis. Try to get the focus to work. That's how we do that. And we got that to pretty much do on Thursday, as long as my schedule holds up. Hopefully these guys will be mostly done by then. We'll be able to get their brassing elements cleanly set. We'll be able to apply the metals. I think it'll be good. And then we just got to figure out the extra details. The guns, I think we do stick with the fire extinguisher color idea of red. I think that'll be good. Yeah. Thanks for hanging out. It's pretty chill. Pretty chill today, actually. Good talking about upcoming 3.0 stuff. Still a little bit to worry about. It's cool to see Glass Half Dead drop in. If you're unfamiliar with his work, check out his channel. He was one of the people I was keeping an eye on before starting my channel up. He was one of like the group that I would watch. But yeah, thanks for watching. Thanks for chilling. Making today actually a good day. Holy crap. Good to see it. You love to see it. Till next time, guys. Later.